Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Minnesota RØKKR co-stream. My name is Ashley, aka MiDNiTE, and I am joined, as always, by IKON. Let's go, baby! We're back with the co-stream vibes. Sorry we're a little late. The match ahead of ours had a technical delay or connectivity delay. I'm not sure. It took that's the longest 3-0 in CDL history for sure, right? That took a while.
For sure.
That was pretty nutty, but hey, it happened. It is done, and now Minnesota RØKKR is set to take on the Paris Legion. So I'm really excited about this matchup. I think we're gonna need to have a little bit of an upswing. Obviously, last weekend only had one match so far in Stage 3. We took the L to Florida Mutineers. Shout out Florida, they played great. IKON, what kind of situation does that put us in for our group? Looking at the group we're in, you'd hope that Florida match would be a dub. What are you thinking in terms of RØKKR, where they're at in the group, and are we, I know it's ridiculous because it's only match 2, but are we in must-win territory right now?
Well, normally I would probably say yes, but based off of how Stage 2 goes, or how Stage 2 went, I'm not going to say that because I thought that there was no shot Minnesota was even going to get to the winner's bracket, let alone get the number 1 seed in Stage 2. So not a must win, but you definitely want to get this one, right? Especially if you're looking right there in the middle of the screen at the CDL broadcast, you can see that Toronto started 3-0, and they still have to play Paris, which many would assume or would pick to be one of the lesser teams in Group A. So when you're just trying to think of seeding and positioning, of course, you want to beat Florida, which that didn't go Minnesota's way. So now you have to get those other 2 teams that many would consider to be under Minnesota, Paris and LAG. So not a must win because we've seen crazier things happen, but you definitely want to come out, show up here. It's been a couple matches in a row since we've really seen Minnesota at their best, probably a few actually, because that Minnesota versus Optic match, Optic was probably the better team overall, right? I mean, you could say if accuracy doesn't make one of the craziest plays we've ever seen, then Optic wins that. Then Minnesota lost to Toronto, then they lost to Florida. So not that they've been playing poorly. They had every opportunity to steal some of those maps against Toronto on that championship Sunday, and they definitely had their chances here and there against Florida. So overall, just want to see the guys come out, put forth a good effort. Last time we saw Attach, it was kind of odd because every game this year, Attach has been absolutely frying, and he started a little bit slow. I wouldn't expect that to happen again, but overall, come out, take care of business. Hopefully we get a quick 3-0 here, and this is a team that Minnesota has to beat.
Yeah, I think so too. When you look at the way the group's laid out, and I mean, great points. Yeah, last stage, we went 0-2, 0-6 in map count in our first 2 matches, and we were like, oh gosh, we're set up for the losers bracket for the major. But then, hey, we're able to pull off 3 huge matches, and from then had to play some of the best competition in the CDL, just barely getting beat by Dallas. Just barely squeezing by Optic. We end up losing to Toronto on the day that they went on their insane run. Also, they have been looking very good, so I don't think we're no slouches. We're not losing to terrible teams or anything. But yeah, Friday last weekend against Florida, would have loved to see them just start strong in the group with a win there. Couldn't do it. So now I think today is going to be a big day in terms of, hey, who's going to show up today? Is it the RØKKR that the coaches are saying in practice looks so good, or is it still going to be Struggle City population Minnesota RØKKR? Hopefully none. So let's quickly go over the maps here because I'm not sure if they're going to accelerate this start or not. Maybe they won't just because the last match went long. But let's take a look at the maps and let's talk vetoes, records. Let's just kind of get a little nerdy with it. We've got Hardpoint Checkmate as map 1, Search and Destroy on Miami, Control on Garrison, Hardpoint Apocalypse. Making our debut on Apocalypse. We've never played Apocalypse in a CDL match yet. And then map 5 is Raid. Talk to me, IKON. What's the records looking like in these matchups? How are we looking? And we can maybe get into the vetoes a little bit too.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I'm actually kind of stoked for this match because there's a lot of maps that we just don't really see very often, right? It seems like the vast majority of the time we see Minnesota play, that map 3 is always raid control, and we've got a different control map for map 3, so that'll be a little bit different. You did mention the Apocalypse hardpoint for map 4. This is one that I'm not sure why Minnesota hasn't played it yet, but I'm excited to watch it. I actually really like this map, and I believe Minnesota is starting on good side over towards P2 towards Temple. So that, I mean, you basically get P1 and P2 kind of right off the rip as long as you can hold the push. So that should go well. And then if it does end up going to map 5 heavily favors Minnesota. Minnesota's 2-1, but Paris has not won S&D on raid at all this year. They're 0-3. So the first 3 maps will be surprising because the first hardpoint checkmate, Minnesota and Paris have the same exact record. They're both 2-3. S&D Miami both have the same exact record. Now, you could say a lot of those records for both teams come from when different people were on the squad. So who knows how much you can actually put into that. But the same goes for control on Garrison. Minnesota and Paris are both 2-1. I think that the vetoes went well. If you're Minnesota hardpoint, they did veto Garrison. That's really, Garrison hardpoint is really the only map that Paris is like really, really super good on. So it was nice to get that one out of the way. And then, of course, Paris did veto control raid. Again, probably Minnesota's best map in mode. So I think the teams did a nice job of taking those 2 maps away and settling on maps that they're both pretty even at. It's just going to come down to who's the better team today overall.
Yeah, I'll be really excited to kind of see. Let's take a look at like what was vetoed here. So for the hardpoint vetoes, RØKKR vetoed Garrison, which I guess is like Paris's best map, right? Do you happen to know Paris's record for that one?
They're 6-1 on the year.
Sheesh. So definitely a good veto on us. And then Paris vetoed raid because we've been looking pretty nice on raid. Or maybe it's their weak map. I don't know. Search and destroy vetoes. RØKKR vetoes checkmate. Good call. Paris vetoes express. God dang it. That's how we kind of ended up with Search and Destroy Miami, Search and Destroy Raid, which I think favors RØKKR at the end of the day there. And then the control vetoes, I think you mentioned RØKKR veto checkmate, Paris vetoed Raid. I mean, looking at it, it does seem that the teams are pretty evenly matched, definitely in the first 3. But I don't know. I'm anticipating that the guys are going to come out hot. We saw them, and I believe they said in their post-match interviews, like just came out flat, didn't look how we want to versus Florida. And, I'm anticipating the guys coming out a lot different today. Brian Saint in his pregame interview mentioned like, we look so good in practice, and we want to make sure that kind of gets across in the match, those same tendencies, making sure we're staying composed while we're getting into those. So do you have any kind of like a strong prediction here? Like Paris has obviously been looking all sorts of rough since their last change. I don't think that they got better after their change. However, I mean, shoot, didn't London just beat New York Subliners? And they didn't look very good after their most recent game. I mean, any given Thursday, or no, it's Friday. Any given Friday icon, you never know what you're going to get. So, well, who are your predictions for? Well, you already said your predictions on the podcast, but kind of go through it for me. Who you think's taking this, and what maps do you think will go our way?
Yeah, I don't see any reason whatsoever why Minnesota doesn't come out and win this one. I think maybe the S&D or the control, just because the map 2 and the map 3 aren't maps that Minnesota's played a ton just in terms of like an actual match setting. So don't really know how those are going to go. But if I had to say, I don't see any reason why they don't come out and win really any of these first 3 maps. I'll be interested to see what happens when if it goes to a map 4, because I've been kind of wondering why we haven't seen Apocalypse hardpoint yet. And then if it goes to a map 5 for whatever reason, I really think Minnesota would have an advantage there in map 5. But yeah, I think the story for this one is what happens with Paris. What do they bring to the table? Since they've made their roster change, their first match since their roster change was against Dallas. And in that first map, they smoked Dallas. It was like 250 to 111 or something. And then after that, they lost all 3 maps for the rest of that match. And then they came out and got 0-3'd by LAG. So it'll just be interesting to see what kind of fire they come out with except for Fire's not there. But what kind of tenacity they come out with. The matchup that I'm really actually looking forward to is the MiDNiTE matchup and the Flex matchup, just because last time that we saw Accuracy didn't have his best series against Florida. But if you're thinking about that series, it seems like anytime Skies plays in a series, he just has the potential to do that. That's like kind of the story there for Florida, is what does Skies and Awakening bring to the table. So actually, it's not that he had a bad series overall, but he definitely got overshadowed by Skies in that one. And you could say the same thing for Aqua. Aqua put up a 0.74 in their last series to LAG, was completely outclassed by Assault. So both of those main ARs like to see a little bit of a turnaround there. And then at the flex position, last time we saw Priesta and the last time we saw Scraps, both of them both went in. So it was actually kind of, it was just a different scene from what we normally see from Minnesota, because normally like Standy's frying or Attach is always playing super well. But if you just take a peek at what happened against Florida, Priesta was on fire. Priesta had a 1.07 overall. He really did match up just super well with Awakening. And then if you look at Scraps against LAG, he was the only person to go positive in their matchup against LAG. So the interesting thing here for me, the matchup that I'm going to be watching, is what main AR comes out and really just controls, like spawn positionings and wins those key important gun battles on rotations, and then who clutches up in S&D2. So Flex, main AR, really looking forward. And also I expect a pretty big bounce back from Standy and Attach in this one.
Yeah, same. It's been kind of crazy. We've been so, I guess, expected to this point of Attach just going off. He's had an amazing year. It's probably the best statistical year, especially that I have seen Attach have since World War II. And I don't know, maybe, I was watching every Optic match, but not every single phase match back in World War II. But I do remember he was absolutely insane. In World War II, and he's been looking really quite on form this year as well. And so I think we'll have to see kind of how that shakes out. If he's able to bounce back, you don't really even expect him to have a slow series, but he happened to last time. But yeah, I'll be excited to see the whole team bounce back. Really, I think each matchup is going to be key with getting the guys back in their groove, back comfortable, because after such a great honeymoon phase with Standy coming on, turning our fade around in stage 2, you want to be able to keep that hitting that benchmark and then going above it. Never want to plateau, never want to go below. You just want to keep improving as a squad. And I think the Florida match really helped them hopefully get in line and come in strong into this Paris match. So I'm going to predict RØKKR to win. I can't remember what prediction I said on the podcast. I may have said 3-1 or 3-0.
I think we both said 3-1.
God dang right. I don't know. Here's what I'm looking forward to seeing the most. And we might only see just one map of it, hopefully. I don't want to go to map 5, but I'm looking to see if the search and destroy is improved a little bit. That was our bread and butter in the early part of the season. And now we've improved on hardpoint, which is great. Like, that feels a lot better going up 1-0 than going down 0-1 consistently. But Search and Destroy does win championships. You do have to have a solid Search and Destroy squad, so I'll be looking to see how they perform in Map 2.
Yeah, Map 2, I totally agree, is a big one. Like you said, the beginning of the year was, man, if Minnesota could only come out and win that Map 1 hardpoint. And now they've started to do that, and they've slipped a little bit in Game 2, so it's traded a little bit. I think a lot of that just has to deal with how new Standy is and the aggressiveness that he brings, right? And hardpoint, it's great. He's always putting pressure on and winning key important gun battles, whether as he enters the hill or on rotation or just pinning the enemy in their spawn. But sometimes that can work against him when it comes to search and destroy, because he gets, he might get a 1 or he might get a 2-piece, and then he's feeling himself and he jumps out rather than just kind of backing off and just chilling a little bit. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. But yeah, come out, be aggressive in that map 1, and then just go back to being dominant in search and destroy. I think that's a recipe for success in this one.
All right, everybody in the chat, give us your predictions. For now, we're going to throw to the CDL stream. IKON and I will be back after map number 1. Let's go, RØKKR. Come on, baby. Woo! Switch scenes. Let's go.
Be joking. Regardless, my friend, excited to see what Paris can do. A great series on our hands, no doubt.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what Paris can do, man. That's exactly what you said. In their last 2 series, they're 1-6 in map count. Ever since picking up Temp, these guys have not really found their footing. But hopefully today, this is the answer versus Minnesota RØKKR. They're going to have to play a great series from top to bottom. Even if it does go all the way to a Game 5 where it's not going to be their best map, they need to play better.
Definitely do. And on the other side as well, right, there can be some critiques thrown the way of the Minnesota RØKKR as well, right? We played just kind of coming into this series, their performance, their shocking loss to that Florida Mutineers team. Really, what both of these groups looking to try and change things up. But hey, like we said, let's go ahead and meet one of our first few teams. Not Paris just yet. Let's go meet the team that's hoping to try and take them down, the Minnesota RØKKR.
RØKKR certainly come to play.
They can't stop it. They can't stop the kids. They can't stop it.
Oh, Breester. Disgusting. Accuracy's there. Nice kill. Bang. 200 IQ, 10 out of 10 play. Oh my word. Attach is going to save the day. RØKKR are kings of the north.
There's a look at your Minnesota RØKKR. The videos just only continue to get better. But Study, like we said, this team off of a loss to the Florida Mutineers just a few days ago. I got to ask you, what did you take most from their loss to Florida?
It was definitely those hard points, man. Like in the first hard point, you had Accuracy and Attach who just didn't play well. And on that map 4, it was the opposite. You had Standy and Priesta who didn't play well. So obviously the hard points are going to be there. They need to be able to perform as a team there. They want to be able to walk away with those respawns. But the Search and Destroy is really my main focus for this roster. When we talk about this team, Search and Destroy has always been their strength. In their last 6 Search and Destroys, they are currently 1-5 record. And that's not what you expect out of a team with Attach on this roster, with Accuracy. Mr. Iceman, who just clutched an insane miracle 1v3 versus Optic. They need to be able to get back to that form where they're winning those Search and Destroys really constant and really consistently.
Absolutely, my man. Absolutely. Like I said, and maybe some possible blood in the water, maybe for the Paris Legion. Again, a team that's kind of struggling in a few different departments is that Minnesota lineup. But we talk about Respawn, specifically Hardpoint. This is the team that a lot of times that we can look toward from moment to moment. But let's go ahead and meet your home team. Put your hands together for the Paris Legion.
Wonderful start here for Paris Legion. Paris Legion just about pushed that player off the hard point.
Can they clutch up and go big?
Classic just being aggressive in the lane.
Fire's got to get on the bomb, and he will. He finds the kill.
Unbelievable stuff.
Awkward from the back end, able to pick up 3 along the way.
Paris Legions.
What a round.
And there is your Paris Legion. Again, a roster change coming into Stage 3, bringing in good old Temp onto this team for Fire. And so far, Stage 3 Study has not treated them kindly. Currently 0-2 in series, 1-6 so far in maps. What has to change today for Legion?
They need to step up in the slaying department, and I'm looking at players like Temp, especially because he's the reason why they make that change. They needed more killing on the side of the Paris Legion, and so far the guy has not really stepped up to the plate. Like you said, 1-6 map count. That very first win that they have was the first map of Stage 3, where they went up against Dallas Empire. They ended up beating them on that Garrison hardpoint, and ever since then they've just been getting destroyed. So they need to be able to keep up in the slaying department versus Minnesota RØKKR, who have the hot hand. You know how Standing can play. You know how Attach can play if they're hot. You have to be there to at least measure them or at least equalize to them if you want to keep up in this series.
Yeah, like I said, we know how talented that Minnesota RØKKR team can be at times. Like just a number of different players who can kind of step up to the plate and slay with the best of them. It's going to need to be a solid team effort out of the Paris Legion, like you said, man, in that killing department, in that slaying department. What we're talking about strategy, let's go and get officially into our game fuel keys to victory here. First with the Paris Legion. Study, what do you got?
They got to come out and win the hard point against a struggling RØKKR team in that mode. Like we said, hard point right now for the Minnesota RØKKR. They dropped the last 2 versus Florida, so that's where they can really come about. And then Aqua, he needs to be one of those star players on this team. So far, he hasn't really found his footing throughout Stage 3, a .81, where in the beginning, we were considered this guy one of the best assault rifle players in the game. And then also, we got to talk on Temp. Temp needs to pick it up. Legion added him for his slaying, and so far throughout Stage 3, ever since him being on this roster, he's at a .9. We know what Classic is able to do with the finessing. He's basically like a young Benjamin Vance, but they need Temp to go out there and really pick up kills.
Yeah, man. Like I said, it cannot be understated. Like we said, their performance so far throughout Stage 3 has not been indicative of the way that you think that those 4 players on paper would perform. Now taking a look at the other side, our game fuel keys to victory here for the Minnesota RØKKR. Study, what do we got?
S&D just needs to improve. With Standy, when they first started, during that honeymoon stage, they were 4-1 in search and destroys. Ever since then, they have been 1-5 in those search and destroys. So they need to get back to that form where they are winning those search and destroys, so they can start feeling a lot more confident throughout these series. And then just more consistent hardpoint effort throughout the entire team. Like I said, the first map versus Florida, you had 2 players who didn't have a great performance. In the map 4, same thing, the opposite 2 players. They just need to be able to put their game in their favor, especially in those hard points if they want to be able to take this series.
Yeah, like I said, when it kind of came down to this team originally, it was like Standy brings onto the roster, search and destroy going to be good. It was actually hard point that kind of sticks out, but as of late, the team not been too prominent in that mode, losing their last 3. But as we take a quick little look at our maps and modes, also our vetoes. We got Checkmate Hardpoint to start, Miami, Control Garrison, Apocalypse Hardpoint, Raid, Search, and Destroy. Stud, anything to kind of highlight and bold, anything that you're circling coming into this series?
Just those first 3 maps, man. Between both of these 2 teams, those first 3 maps, they have the same exact record on every single map. When you get to that map 4, you have Minnesota RØKKR, who have yet to play that on the season, so that's going to be their first time. But if it does go to that map number 5, Raid, S&D, Paris Legion are currently 0-3, so they do not want to get there if they can close it out early.
Yeah, man. Well, we're starting things off on the old Checkmate Hardpoint. I feel like we've had so many highlight moments on this map in particular, some even just a few days ago, but looking to really see what we can kind of get out of our Slayers. Again, we've kind of set it up quite well. We've set the table pretty decently. And like when we talk about Checkmate, right, you got to make sure those tray tables are upright. You can only have dinner for so long, but hoping this series will treat us to something quite nice. Like we said, Paris, a major series for them, and the desk kind of talked about it at the start of the day. Not only would this be a big series for Paris, but this would be a big sequence for the Minnesota RØKKR. If they were to lose this, right, they would go down 0-2 in this group. Team that was so highly favored kind of coming into this one, coming into Stage 3. A lot of hype around this team for a number of different apparent reasons. But here we go, starting things off on Checkmate Hardpoint. Of course, it is P1 inside of the plane. The slang is hot and heavy as Minnesota currently with the lead.
Yeah, so Paris are going to start off on good side. Unfortunately, Temp is going to nade himself out of that contest spot right there. So time is still going to go in favor of the RØKKR. But you see what Standy's trying to do. He's pushing through the yellow K, trying to flip these spawns, but Classic's able to win that engagement. But as of right now, Paris Legion, they're not really mad. They're not really mad. They're not giving up a lot of time off that P1. They're keeping those spawns for that P2. Temp also, we were talking about it, he might have switched to that flex roll, and right now we see him with that Krig in his hand. So he picks up a 2-piece in that kill feed to keep those spawns for his team. So far, this is a great showing from Paris Legion.
I want to ask you kind of an on topic with that role change. I know we're already getting into the action, just considering it is a hard point. It's Classic, great spot maybe on the flank as he falls, but I know it's early. Like we said, we're literally in the first hard point now coming into P2. Paris do have the spawns, but Temp starting off 5-1 on the 4 spree. I want to ask you though, do you think that role change for Paris is necessary? I know we've talked constantly about how Scraps, how great he's been with the flex. SMG really didn't work out, but it was Fire who did have that. How great do you think this team looks now, or how good could they look now with that role change in here?
Well, so far so good, man. They're able to pick up a lot more kills, and that's just one thing that they were lacking. And Scraps is a great flex player, but he can also do it with the submachine gun. That's what he was doing when he switched over from Fire to that flex role. So he's a little bit more comfortable in that role there. And hopefully it allows Temp to start picking up more kills with that Krig 6. I'm pretty sure he started off this map 5-1. So overall, it should be a better feeling for this team to keep up that aggression, keep up the slaying. And so far in this map number 1, it's showing after the second hard point. Minnesota RØKKR, they're able to get this remaining time on this P2, but Paris Legion are going to be nice to set up early for that P3.
Yeah, kind of a crazy P2 just in terms of spawns, kind of going back and forth. Paris for a moment looked good, and there's Minnesota, then Paris, then Minnesota grabs the final few seconds, but they will have the lead, granted as minor as it can be. That quickly changes, and now Paris, with that in their hands, as now we head toward bottom plane. Again, the big focus on Paris is kind of about their hardpoint game. Same thing really with Minnesota as well. How can that slang really start to step up? And with Temp starting as well as he is, it is a solid point to reference. But 30 seconds left in terms of that next hard point. It will be a big 1v1 as Classic is able to drop it. Legion currently with map advantage, also with A nice setup coming in toward A Street. So it looks good for them to grab the final 20 seconds. Minnesota, they begin to rally, starting to stack up. We'll see what that push is going to look like, as it has to be a solid one. If not, Legion can only start to expound upon this lead. Aqua, he gets traded out.
Yeah, and the thing that gets scary now is going to go into that P4, P5 chain hard points here. And Paris Legion are going to be fully set up. So you see with Minnesota, they were trying to push around that back right side of plane to try to flip those spawns. But now they do not have the favorable spawns. So Paris Legion, they're up by 40 points. They have a full setup here, just watching all the players trying to cross out through yellow crate. They're also keeping plane control with Scraps playing like a rat, but unfortunately he's going to drop to Standy. So now they're going to give with that plane control, but still, time going in favor of the Paris Legion. Aqua still picking up kills on the backside. But so far, Paris are playing this beautifully. They're trying to keep those spawns for P5 because they know that is a money hill, and they can get a full 60 on that one.
Yeah, so when you have spawns and you're playing well at the hard point prior to that, you're usually going to be in a good situation. With Minnesota, they do break in at a crucial moment toward that A Street, and they're going to need to try and chain this as well, coming in toward P5 in order to bring this one to a more level heading. And in the midst of that, we'll go and step aside and listen in with the communication now for our Astro Listen-In with the Minnesota RØKKR.
Top red, top red.
Yeah, I think one might be playing.
Top red. What's top lane?
Yeah, top lane.
Oh, he got me from,
Look for this guy top
Alright,
lane.
you lose top tower.
Donnie got to the back. Donnie's back wall.
We're spawning blue.
Come
Waiting
on,
back here.
yo, top lane on me, I need help.
I'm coming.
I can't help you. Top lane, push you, Nick.
I don't see
One
him.
shot, top lane.
Nice. He's not top tower anymore.
Tower.
No, he's tower. He's tower.
He is?
Back walls,
Okay,
yeah.
I'm looking tower.
Yo, no trophy on time, I'm needing.
I don't see him walls
Alright.
though. I'm trying to help you right.
What side? I'm naming tower.
Tower, you
At the
dead.
box. Watch out the box.
One shot time.
I thought you
Wood
were
window, Nick. Wood window, Nick in contest box.
I don't see him graffiti.
Wood window, Nick in
Blue
contest box.
window, dead.
Graffiti, Donnie.
That box pushed out.
Wood wall.
He's going
Wood
there
wall,
steps.
Yuli, dead.
Wood stairs and contest box.
Donnie's there steps.
Okay. He's top exit.
Needing
Donnie's there
contest
steps,
box.
yep.
You gotta exit.
Nice.
Contest box. I'll get him. Contest box.
I flashed contest box.
Pillar.
Nice. Oh, he's in wood.
Wood.
And wood, Yuli, weak. Jumping out wood.
Left
Front
side,
wood.
dead.
Spawning wall.
Oh,
Spawn
they're
back.
flipping.
Yeah, they're spawning blue guys.
Oh, he's wood. What's still, Donnie? I'm top
Yeah,
lane
still
right
one.
now.
You jumped out.
Yeah. The rest are gonna be
Donnie
this side. That's top lane.
Nice.
Good job. Bring us back right here.
I have a trophy on you, though.
Oh, no, inner.
I'm out.
Inner wall,
Get
face
home,
traps. He's
Inner
challenging.
super
Challenging inner room.
There's Donnie.
In a room, one bullet scraps.
Okay.
Oh,
We gotta go
Alright.
back.
He backed up.
Yeah.
He's still like cubby or backing up to
Stacks and B-wing.
Donnie's in a room.
Alright, Donnie stacks.
Scraps.
Donnie stacks, 2 hill. Yeah,
I'm trying to
B-wing.
I'm running up.
B-wing with her. Yeah.
He's bringing up point.
He's up the bill.
He's in a room.
Okay.
Inner room.
Out of wall still. Okay, I'll get him.
One shot in a room.
I'm flash.
Our wall dead.
Take my time.
Nice.
I got nade right.
Well, Stunny, normally I ask you about the communication out of the Minnesota RØKKR, but really at this point, we got to talk about what we're witnessing right now from the Legion. We go P3, P4, P5. They lose the last few seconds at P5, but it's not all for naught. In fact, in the midst of that, they also grab spawns for P2 coming up. Our Money Hill. How great has Legion looked, despite what I think are solid communication right now from Minnesota?
Yeah, Paris Legion, they're just playing perfect hardball right now. They're giving up this remaining 15 seconds off that P5, so they flip those spawns, and then they started off with initial time on towards P1. Scraps also went big with the 3-piece right off the rotation to shut down that push from Minnesota. But now it's all about trying to hold this push, and already you have 2 players that are spawning out. Classic and Scraps are going to have their hands full on this backside, but Classic, he's just trying to maneuver on the map. He's trying to take down the second and attach, but here comes the players from Minnesota trying to set up that pinch. That's going to be the players from Paris Legion eliminated from the backside of this P2 hardpoint, so that gives Minnesota the opportunity to get fully set up and get some more time on this clock.
Yeah, and what a huge break that is from Minnesota, right? We're talking constantly about how, hey, this is a great situation for Legion. This is where they can really start to kind of break open that lead, maybe get past the 200-second mark, but it is the RØKKR who break in at the perfect time. But there's 2 coming in for both Scraps and Temp. They shut down the 3rd and attach as well. Can they make it a 4th on his Standy? He's able to stay alive for the moment. A nice nade comes through to shut down Aqua. Can Legion get to that 200-second mark? They're going to be just shy of it as we head in toward P3. So, like I said, a good moment there for RØKKR. They're able to get some time, but Legion toward the tail end are ever closer toward that 200-second mark. It cannot just be a one nice hill from RØKKR. They're going to need to chain a few of these, much like Legion did in those first set of rotations, Scud.
Yeah, they have to make sure that they keep the spawns for P4 and P5. That's the only way that Minnesota are going to be able to fight back into this game. And they're doing a great job so far. Just keeping plane control, making sure all the Paris Legion players are swanning out towards back yellow. But unfortunately, with Aqua hitting shots like that, opened up with 2, that's going to open up the map now for Paris Legion to try to get some more map control. Time is not going in favor of Minnesota. But with them only being down 50 points, like I said, they need to be able to keep those spawns. The Paris Legion are doing such a good job of just keeping them off this time, not giving up any extra time.
How about Classic? How about Nicky D? Just continuing to be a thorn in the side. He's able to win the big 1 versus 1. And really just with that map control that he gains, it allows for every single lane to be able to move up as Legion have the final few seconds, or at least they're going to contend for these final few. So they'll be the first ones over at A Street. Granted, with that, bottom lane controlled well by Minnesota. Stanny starting to heat up. Had a slower start toward this hard point, but now sits at 16 and 17. We'll see what Minnesota can do as the focus instantly goes on to this team. How well can they hold over at A Street while also trying to lock in those P5 spawns? You've got the ARs winning their fights, but unfortunately the SMGs, they lose those up close. But regardless of that, will be Minnesota trailing back inside of the hill. One player toward back plane, that's going to be Aqua. He could start to cause a few problems as the Slang constantly back and forth. Paris, they start to break on in. RØKKR, going to need a good performance to try and make sure the Legion cannot continue to extend this. The contested hill for now, Minnesota still with those P5 spawns.
Minnesota, they just need to keep control of that side of the map to be able to fight back into this one. Unfortunately, 2 players are going to drop, so now you see the Paris Legion players trying to push up that back alley, but Attach is able to eliminate Classic off that. Tep's going to try to go for the challenge as well. Attach going huge off the rotations, but just like that, Paris Legion are able to flip the spawns, and Minnesota have to try to break through the front.
Do indeed. Just 2 seconds left before this one is done and dusted. Do we call it curtains here, or can the RØKKR do something? Classic shutting them down left and right, and Minnesota not going to be able to get to the hill in time, as this one will belong to the Legion, and a solid performance at that, 250 to 169. We said it, Sonny. We called it out in the game field keys to victory. They needed to win that opening hard point, and they're able to do it, my friend.
Yeah, man, and it was off that very first rotation of hard points. They were able to chain that P3 to that P4 to the P5, and then eventually flip those spawns on their head when it rotated back around towards the second rotation of hard points. Paris was just playing beautifully from start to finish of that hard point. Minnesota, they were playing from the back foot. They had to try to break multiple hills. They couldn't really get a setup in their favor. They had that setup for P2, but Paris Legion, they were able to break it with about 30 seconds left, so they were just climbing that board, just chasing that 250, and eventually they get the job done right there, man. They close it out. They contest that P4 all the way down to the very
IKON, you hate to see it on the Minnesota RØKKR map pick number 1. We are not able to pull it out. We did start on the bad side, but, you know, it was looking like we were maybe going to be able to chain together a couple hills there and get ourselves back in the game, but that just didn't happen. What in your opinion, is your biggest takeaway from map 1 there?
Yeah, normally on Checkmate, if you spawn on bad side, it's really hard to even be somewhat close to being tied after that P2 on the right-hand side of the map. And Minnesota did a really nice job of getting time inside of P1 and flipping and getting spawns for P2 initially. They exited P2 with a lead, and then what is also a story on Checkmate is that sometimes there's so much open space that from that spawn back to bottom plane, it can be really tough. We saw it on multiple control, different matchups throughout the season, like the New York versus Optic one, trying to get from that spawn over towards bottom plane. It's almost impossible. So it went to P3. Paris was able to regain their lead. They basically just continued that same exact stretch as it went to P4. Minnesota wasn't able to flip for P5, and it started to chain together, and it got towards that second set of rotations where if you don't start to like win P3, P4, P5, like chain those 3 hills together, it's almost too late. And that's essentially what happened. They just couldn't get back. The very first set of rotations couldn't get back to P3, and then Paris was able to hold from P3 all the way through P5. And by the time that's there, you're up to like a 100-point lead, and now it's like desperation time. You're trying to crawl back in it.
Yeah, it's definitely not the start you wanted. You know, this team had been looking so much better in hardpoint recently, but yeah, against Florida didn't look great in hardpoint. That just didn't look great. So we're really going to be dependent on this Miami S&D to come out strong. We do start on defense here, so that's definitely an advantage on this map. You got to at least go up 1-0 and get this map 2 started the right way. So we'll see how it goes. Let's see if the guys can bounce back. It's not over till it's over. It's just one map. Let's see if we can bring it back. IKON and I will be back after the search on Miami.
Team listenings are powered by Astro Gaming, the official headset and mix amp of the Call of Duty League. The Call of Duty League is presented by Zenni, the official eyewear for the CDL. Armor your eyes with Zenni Blocks blue light protection glasses by visiting zenni.com/gaming.
Welcome back, folks, to the Call of Duty League. It is the Paris Legion taking on the Minnesota RØKKR. And we gotta kind of sit still here with this RØKKR team because it has kind of been an interesting sequence for them as of late. When we talk about performances, right, everything was excellent. When they start things off with Standy, the team is just hitting new levels. And as of late, man, they've been a little shaky overall. We talk about their performances. It clearly looked like a better team, but the question is, are they just in a slump, or maybe this team just had a really good honeymoon period?
They probably just had a really good honeymoon period, man. There was no team out there to have the expectation of Standy coming in and being the player that he was at, and now teams are starting to catch on. You see in that very first hard point, they still have those mistakes on their setups where they're still flipping out towards the very end of those hard points, and it's really costing them. So now they're going into a Miami search and destroy, where the search and destroy hasn't really been that backbone game mode when we talk about Minnesota RØKKR, because in their last 6, they are 1-5 currently, and for both of these teams on this map specifically, they are both sitting at 2-3, so this is going to be just an even playing field for both sides. You have one side, which is Paris Legion, just made a roster change, so they're still developing strats, and Minnesota, who are trying to get back to that form where their search and destroy was really pushing them over in a lot of these series, and hopefully on this Miami search and destroy, we'll see a lot closer of a game.
Yeah, man, like, you kind of hope to see that, right? Because I feel like, when we talk about search and destroy for both these teams, obviously for the Paris side specifically, it's not really been good all season, right? They have I think it's like the 11th best, or you can say like the second worst, depending on how you look at it, but they've got a 5-12 record. All you really need to know. Search and destroy has not been good for them, but kind of considering the struggles in the search and destroy and the control. But we talk about the first 3 maps, as you called it out, man. Map vetoes, I think you're kind of okay with this if you're Paris, right? Just to get an even map, let alone through your first 3, that could be a good situation for them. That could be kind of a key to success for this team. And I know that Miami Search and Destroy is one that Paris Legion, they like it. At times, it's kind of been a strong map for them. We've seen Classic go off on this map before, so I don't know. I think we're going to need to see a solid performance out of Minnesota to stop what can be, at times, a crafty Legion lineup. But already into our first round, you know it, folks. It is that top purple fight. Standy, despite what was kind of at times a little bit of a slow performance, he started off that hard point not so great, does drop that first blood, halting the push out of the Legion.
Yeah, good first blood right there out of Standy to make sure that his team takes control of that top purple. So that's going to set up attached to only watch towards the lower garage, and he's able to pick up the kill onto Temp. Turns into a 4v2 situation. He did see that player slide off towards the bomb site. But now Paris have their hands full. The flashbang coming in. Two players are going to walk right in front of Aqua. He's able to take down one. Is he going to try to run away with his life? But he's going to get traded by Priesta. So now it's all left up to Scraps in the 1v3. He's able to find Standy into his top purple. He spots accuracy as well. He's going to be stuck on his truck in a 1v2 situation. He has to try to commit to this, and yes, he does. Now it turns into a 1v1 situation with the player jumping right out, and Priesta, he's going to read it. He's going to be able to close out that round, which almost got really scary for the RØKKR right there in the 1v3. Scraps almost makes it possible, but him being one shot, Priesta knows. He gets the call out, turns the corner, able to get the kill and close out the round.
So well deserving of that best play, man. I was going to say, if he maybe regens health a little bit earlier, a 1v3 at a Matty Marshall to start, that's exactly what the Paris Legion needed. But again, just too strong. Those early picks out of Minnesota definitely causing some problems. But like I said, out of the Legion, the story for them in Search and Destroy, oftentimes when we talk about solid performances, is coming out of Scraps. Like, I don't have our exact stats in front of us, but I know that his overall performance, like 80 X Factor in Search and Destroy, it's insane, just because he has been that Search and Destroy player for them. We know how great he was last year with the Royal Ravens. His prowess in Search and Destroy obviously impacts the team from time to time, but it's about that synergy. And speaking of synergy, a great start from Minnesota as we get the nice camera view over top. Slowly but surely making their way onto that A site, and with that utility, the trophy is out, and they are setting up camp over at the A-bomb site.
Yeah, no hesitation on that A-bomb plant once they open up with that first blood. Now it's all about just trying to hold the line, and 2 players are going to drop now, so it's going to be a 4v1 situation for Mr. Donnie Temp. Able to take down one, but with 30 seconds remaining, ARs all around the map. Accuracy is going to be sitting towards top balcony. They're going to be able to spot him. They're not giving him any easy kills on this round until Accuracy is going to overpeak there. Attach is going to go for the challenge as well. Temp with some great shots. Unfortunately, not able to close out on that kill. And Attach is going to close out that round. But it all starts with that first blood onto Aqua. Once they eliminate that player from that beach side, they do know that they have that information that the A side is going to be open. And if not, there's going to be one player, but they should easily be able to work that bomb plant. 4v3 retake. Right there, the Minnesota RØKKR, they just played a great round on offense.
Music to my ears, study. Music, the analysis, absolutely perfect. Start things off, man. But yeah,
Thank you very much.
I was going to call it out to start that round. I was like, okay, Minnesota, nice, slow and steady toward the A site, just because I'm kind of used to that. And then it was like, nope, we're just going to go in full send it toward the beach. No big deal, bro. And yeah, obviously win the round because of it. So nice decisive play out of Minnesota to start. Attach 3-1, Priesta 4-1. As now we'll see what the Legion can do again on this offense. They will continue to hit toward this B site. It was the near 1 versus 3 for Scraps, but it really was those opening picks. It can cause some problems. The quick trade is Attached, now brought down to 18 HP. He has to back up, and that's exactly where Accuracy is going to be able to pick up from where he leaves off. The 3 versus 2. Advantage toward Minnesota. Accuracy gets the nice shots toward the bottom side of the van. Fabs and all taking down Classic, and there goes Temp. A retake successful, and another search and destroy round going the way of Minnesota.
That's a good little play right there out of Standy right there to put himself in that position to get that first blood. Eventually, he does get traded. But Attach really playing his life towards back alley. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to get a kill, but sets up enough time for Accuracy to come in, able to get that first blood, and then get the second kill onto Classic. Turns it into a 1v3 for Mr. Tempin. So far, Minnesota RØKKR, nothing but teamwork in this search and destroy is really prevailing right now as they're up 3-0 on this map number 2.
Yeah, man, and just all-around solid play. And I know you just spoke about it a moment ago, but kind of one of my favorite moments throughout that round was this very play, right? Attach. He puts in the early damage. He gets brought down to like 18 HP. He's obviously in back alley, and right there, just when you're thinking Paris, they maybe have a little bit of a lane to go for the bomb plant. Accuracy is there to try and spoil the party. Again, 3 quick rounds going the way of Minnesota. Right now for Legion, got to try and change things up. I know you talk about it constantly, about how teams just need to make kind of these mid-round adjustments. You need to try and change up the game plan. Currently on this defensive spread for Legion, they do have that 3-1 split, issuing a lot of their forces toward B, but how great of a kill this could be for Aqua. But he gets tagged out. He is found for the backside of the catamaran, hanging out over toward the boat. And really with his presence, that's actually going to make Minnesota go for the rotation. So his presence, Minnesota says absolutely not. We are not happy with that one. The middle side, and off of that rotation, they do take Scraps along the way. 4 versus 3. Bomb still yet to be planted. And maybe it could just be a matter of moments as they've got the 3 versus 2 advantage on this B site due Minnesota.
And I love this play out of Minnesota right now. Not trying to take control of top purple because they do not have any information where players are going to be. But Temp able to take one down, so now it turns into a 3v3. But with 25 seconds left, I'm paying attention to the mini-map. Look at Accuracy. He's going to be working up the middle of the map while all these engagements are going on. But number 3 in Aqua, he might be able to catch him as he's setting up for this late pitch. There comes Classic in the corner. Temp and Classic holding down this B site. Accuracy does get that kill towards middle map, but with 10 seconds left, he has to try to plant it and kill both. Classic and Temp do a great job at just holding purple down that entire defensive round to close that one out.
Yeah, a huge play. We'll get to rewatch it again. It's looking a little bit scary. Minnesota were off of that rotation, but they pretty much just run right into the blender over toward this street side. And I know Accuracy obviously is the Iceman, but kind of like, game winners. It's like, how many game winners do you have? Oh, I got like 3 or 4. But how many, at times do you lose? Well, a little bit more frequent than not, but Accuracy, without a doubt, a talented player in the clutch, as we know, but in those situations, it's never easy. 1v2 cannot commit it. Speaking of ones, Paris able to grab it there first. Nice to see it. See if they can really start to add on to it. Really, with this next offensive push, it will be over at A. Again, we talked about attacking rounds. Paris ranked 12th in the CDL. And they've got that objective in their hand. In fact, they've got a 0.73 KD in attacking rounds. Definitely a department where Theory and the boys have got to go back to the drawing board and work on it. We'll see if those improvements can be made as Temp slowly but surely makes his way up through the mid-map.
And this is kind of scary. This Temp's positioning can be huge. He can either flank towards this A site and try to get a pick for his team. He might be able to get hurt there, but unfortunately he's going to be able to take down Priester. So that opens up the beach positioning for his teammates to be able to push up. And now he does know that accuracy is going to be up top. He's going to be one shot, so accuracy has to jump out that front window as that nade does come in. It's all about just playing your life here if you're Temp. Trying to get this bomb down. Paris Legion only have 20 seconds to do so. Accuracy's going to be working around the top side, but Classic's going to be underneath, and Attach is going to go for the challenge, but unfortunately he's going to drop. Do they know that Accuracy is going to be right above him? Yes, they do. Accuracy is going to be able to take down one. Trying to go for the second onto Aqua, but unfortunately both players are going to drop, and another great round out of Paris, especially on Temp. Slowly but surely creeping up the middle of the map, able to eliminate Priester off of that beach position, give his teammates the opportunity to push up, eventually work towards that bomb plant. Just completely broke the setup for Minnesota RØKKR right there on that round. Good round out of Paris.
Yeah, man. And a much needed round at that. Like we said, they're able to finally start to stitch together too. But really, that round I think just has Donnie Temp, young Kyrie, his signature all over it. Makes the nice plays through the mid-map. Really from there, breaks open the setup. As Temp sitting on 4 in a row. Great performance so far from him. I know Search and Destroy necessarily wasn't like the department where everybody said, okay, now with Temp coming onto the team, now we're going to be a better Search and Destroy team. But at least so far, he has put in the work through 5 rounds. Leading and slaying for the team. As Aqua continues to be a problem. Over toward this Catamaran, really just shutting down that A site. But with that in mind, Scraps does drop for the opening kill. Aqua still hanging out, really based off his position. Him and Classic were able to set up things for a moment, but really with that pick, it's Minnesota overall winning the fights, and now a hot hand. We'll see if Temp can go for a heat check. It would be a hot and spicy round if he could walk away with it. 1 versus 3. Does get the nice nade onto Attach. So first job done. Sam being so problematic through the middle side of the map. Well, he's going to have to jaunt his way to the middle side of the street just to make this one competitive. As he will fall. Minnesota, a clean and big run for them to take.
Just opening up with that first blood onto Scraps in the middle of the map really just breaks the setup of the Paris Legion. Once they're able to do that, they bait and switch out on Aqua towards the boat. They take full control of that A site. I would have liked to see Temp right there. He was on a 5 spree, and if he was able to pick up some streaks, it could really change this game to not really commit towards that round. But fortunately, he's going to drop, so no streaks going in favor of the Paris Legion there. Now they find themselves down 2-4. Minnesota, the way that they played their very first defensive round, they had Stanley and Attach take control of top purple. But so far, Paris Legion have not tried to be aggressive on that ever again. This look like they're going to go nice and early this time with Scraps and Classic leading the way.
Scraps and Classic leading the way, but Stanley could be there to spoil things. The early kill on the Temp. He backs up, tosses out the nade. Much like a ninja would toss out of smoke, he tosses out the nade and just quickly disappears. Meanwhile, it's the aggression on the other side, looking to try to push out. Attach as the nade shuts him down, but Stanley a long and awaited flank as he'll get cut down toward the top side of the stairs. 3 versus 2, advantage right now for the Legion. Bomb still yet to be planted. And Priest is going to have to make a nice little run through the middle side of the map to join alongside his squad mate. Actually does have the angle, but it's Classic from down low. He wins both. It's the Iceman winning the 2. Aqua on the other side. Now brings this one to a 1 versus 1. And what a situation that we're in. It is the swing round after all. Time starting to tick away. Accuracy aware of where that bomb is. Aqua has such a difficult task ahead of him, and it's Accuracy winning 3, getting the hat trick, and setting up Minnesota for one more round to lock up this search and destroy on Miami.
Man, the patience right there out of the Iceman to just take his time with that first kill onto Scraps. He doesn't panic as he sees Classic cross his screen at that front of that door, but he completes the kill onto Scraps and eventually snaps on the Classic as well. That's why he's the clutch man. That's why he's Mr. Ice, because he makes plays like that. It's going to put him on a 3 spree, clutches out the 1v1 versus Aqua. So now they find themselves at game point from closing out this map number 2 and tying up this series. And right now, it's looking like Minnesota are going to commit towards this A push once again. They know the way that Aqua decides to play this. Look at the positioning switch out of Scraps as well. Going to change it up, go towards that top window. They're able to spot Aqua out towards this beach side. That's all about how can they bait and switch to try to eliminate him from this position. It's looking like they're just trying to leave him there and work up the middle of the map.
You see that they are tossing out some utility, so with the map positioning out of the RØKKR, they're actually going to make their way pretty much to the mid-side lane. Nobody looking at them from that visitor center, but trade comes on through. Aqua does get dealt with, so that A portion of the map is going to be free. First player here is Classic. All that he can do really is just try to shoot through the bomb, which is not going to work out. He also has the trophy, which is going to cause some problems. Meanwhile, with this 2v2 retake, keep in mind the one player that's not in a position for these head-to-head gunfights is going to be Attached. Classic wins one from up top, but Attached again is there for the chain, as that will be 2 out of Attached, and the final round here on this Miami Search and Destroy. The daggers out of Attached, as Minnesota winning this one 6 rounds to 2.
That was just textbook S&D, man. They were singling out a player, and every single time they did that, they were baiting and switching to eliminate him and then eventually fighting for more map control. Minnesota just played that S&D like we haven't seen them playing in a really long time. Teamwork was there. Accuracy still's got the ice in his veins, and that was a great search and destroy from top to bottom. Paris Legion, you're going to go back to that round where Accuracy was able to clutch up there. That was the swing round where it could have went to a 4-3 or instead of a 5-2, but Minnesota, they just get the job done, man, and now they're tied up 1-1.
They are indeed. Like we said, that first hard point, maybe that could have really hurt the Minnesota RØKKR, just kind of given how Search and Destroy has looked. But as you called it, my friend, and called it perfectly, Minnesota just textbook Search and Destroy. And like I said, with the clutch plays, with the clutch factors they have on this team, it's just kind of a matter of time before we saw one. As Accuracy, yet again, a highlight moment throughout this game. Of course, that one is going to be our U.S. Army tactical play. And it was the clutch that came in toward that round 7. As you called it, Study, it was the swing round. A big moment possibly for Paris to get brought back in this game. But Accuracy says no.
Yeah, so Standy right there, he opens up with that first blood. And you see the way he's able to back up, just play his life to the best of his ability. But once they were being aggressive towards this guy back out, it's exactly what they needed to do. Turn it into a 3v3, and then a great corner right here out of Scraps to take down Standy. So it turns into a 2v3 situation. And just look at the patience right here from Accuracy. We started pre-aiming at the top at 45 seconds. When he decides to take this first bullet is when he knows he can guarantee this kill. But at the same time, he spots Classic running across the screen. It was terrible timing for Scraps right there to jump out at that time. And then Classic, he tries to go for the instant trade and Accuracy. He just gets the better of him there and able to walk out with that one. Now it turns into a 1v1 situation with 25 seconds remaining on the clock. The bomb is going to be down. So Aqua has to work towards that. He has to try to pick up that bomb once again. He's crouch walking around the middle of the map. Accuracy is still sitting towards that top purple staircase. He's able to use his Astro headset right there to make sure he's able to get those comms and eventually close out that round. That's why he's the Iceman. That's why he closed out that game number 2.
Absolutely, man. And I tell you what, when Classic's kind of sliding through, I think we all kind of expected him just to instantly focus. They're on to Nicky D. But nope, like you said, man, stays consistent, stays steady. His Accuracy making the
A sigh of relief, just like the good old days, Icon, where we would lose a hard point and then win the search. We were looking really good on Miami there. Accuracy iced up again. That was the whole tactical player, as I said, a tactical round that they just showed. Standy getting a key for his blood, and then Accuracy gets a crazy 2-piece. I guess people just keep lining up for him. I'm not sure. He's able to pull that, and then he, for some reason, couldn't pick up the bomb, but then just played the plant check. You and I were pretty nervous when we were watching that happen. Arguably could have been a swing round right there. What'd you like out of Search and Destroy map 2 there?
Yeah, that was a huge round, because if he doesn't clutch up and get that 3-piece towards the end of that round, it goes to 4-3, and that's a lot different than 5-2. But after he got those first 2 and he ran out that door by the bomb, he didn't pick up the bomb, even though it looked like he ran right over top of it. So at that point, I guess that's why he's called the Iceman, because rather than go back and ensure that he could get a plant, he just watched over top of it. And that whole time I was like starting to sweat bullets. I'm like, is he going to go get it, or like, is he going to make a move? And he just didn't. I guess that's where he get his nickname from. But it's really odd. You don't see it very often that Minnesota continued to push the beach side of the map on offense, and multiple times it worked. And it worked once for Paris too, when Temp was able to sneak through mid. So I get what they're trying to do. Normally you have a main AR or an assault rifle posted up over on the beach towards that boat. So if you sneak through mid, then you can shoot that player from behind. You can open up the beach, and now you can get all the way up towards the A bomb site. But normally there's somebody watching mid. In 3 different rounds in this matchup, there wasn't. So interesting to see, but now we go to a control map that we haven't seen all that often.
Yeah, we'll have to see how it goes. It's going to be control on Garrison. I believe RØKKR will be starting on defense. That's what you like to see. How did the vetoes go again? Control vetoes, RØKKR vetoed checkmate, Paris vetoed raid. Was hoping we'd see a raid. RØKKR's been looking so dang good on that. But hey, you know, we'll take Garrison too. I'm hoping we can just, you know, keep this momentum going from map 2. You know, maybe Hardpoint is still just a struggle for us, but we have been traditionally this year a very good control team. So let's hope we can knock things up 2-1 here. What do you think is like the key players to watch battle for Garrison control here? Is it the subs, the flexes, the ARs, everything? Who should we be looking out for to help take control of this map?
Yeah, control Garrison is all about SMG play in the middle of the map. So got to have attach go off, got to have standy go off. And I don't know if you just saw that graphic right there in the middle of the screen, but since adding Temp, Paris hasn't won a single control, and they haven't won a single S&D. So this is definitely a map that if you're Minnesota, you got to feel confident on. And it starts with your SMGs. Just get out towards the middle of the map, win a team gunfight, and then just push Paris back into their base. Don't let them out. Easy round wins if you're able to get that accomplished.
Yeah, absolutely. It'd be cool to see if Attach and Standy can take over, get that control in mid-map. I'm hoping we see some spawn killing, thrilling, go up 2-1. We'll see. I don't know. Don't want to jinx it. Knock it on wood. Guys, map number 2 is coming right up. We're going to kick you back to the CDL stream. Be sure to stick around. Hit subscribe. Hit like. Tell your mom about us. All that cool stuff. IKON and I will be back after the control. We'll see you then.
Enough love. I know Paris Legion, you know, just kind of given their performance, just the way that they've looked as of late, and really just with kind of at times, you know, a roster that looks like they can be great and then just at times starts to falter. It can be difficult for a player to really stand out unless your name is Aqua or Scraps, who just happen to have insane KDs. Classic really puts in the work, man. Like when we talk about his performance, at times he can take over games, at times he's kind of labeled, or really kind of is, the dirty work type of player. And we talk about Comms, just his kind of performance. When we talk about his ability to win, right? He has such a great record. He's won in multiple titles. Like I forget the exact streak, but just his performance, his ability to kind of add different elements to a team, it cannot be understated. Excited to see him, as you called it, my man, in toward this Garrison control. A big one for both of our teams. As we called it, the records continue to be the same through our first 3 maps. 2-1 for both these teams. Again, not something that you're avoiding playing, but also something you're not overly confident in. So we'll start things off with the Paris Legion on their opening offense. It is classic. We're looking through the eyes of MiDNiTE to start things off, but it's attached on the other side, shutting them down with a nice 2-peek.
That's going to be 3 down nice and early for the Paris Legion. So now they got to fight for their spawn. And Minnesota RØKKR, they are pushing up, gaining map control. They're going to try to keep towards top green, but Classic, he's able to sneak through, so that's going to be 2 players down, so that might be the opening for Paris Legion players to try to get more pushed up, but Standy's still causing havoc by this tools area, just being a menace on the map for the Paris Legion. That's going to be another 2 players. Paris Legion, they just cannot chain a couple kills together to try to get out of their spawn, and Standy, he's going to be in a nice early 5-3, trying to work towards some streaks, but Scraps is able to take him down.
And at times we can just see SMG players start to thrive, whether it's hardpoint, whether it's control. You give them some of these angles. Obviously the fight's kind of up close, at times favor those SMGs, and Standy on a heater to start off. 5-2 for him. Attached on the other side, 4-1. Does get met with the headshot from Aqua, so that could be the lane that starts to open things up, as Classic will hopefully look to try and lead the charge. Stops that clock at 15.3 seconds. With the amount of players that kind of are on the other side of the map for Minnesota, it will be the 1 versus 2. So Priest and Accuracy, they handle business. Shut down any extra forces that Classic could have. So with 14 seconds, he has to try to make the play. Does get some assistance. Temp jumps out of top green at just the right time. But the 2v2 will favor Minnesota. With 8 seconds on the clock, what can Paris do? Aqua onto the point, living on a prayer. lives not favoring them by any means as time just continues to tick away. Scraps, he ends up getting taken down. Player 2 in Classic still is trying to be problematic toward that A point, but he can't hop off of it, because if he does, the game will end. The round, in fact, will end. Paris trying to do everything they can just to try and stay alive, but finally, they will get found out. It's just a matter of time, Study, before Paris, before their hopes of trying to pull off a crazy comeback would come to an end. But how about those SMG plays out of the RØKKR boys to start this one off?
I told you, man, it's the SMGs, the way that they're able to maneuver around this map. You need to be a route man. Route man gets paid, and that's exactly what Standy and Attach were able to do on that very first round. Just staying so pushed up on the opposite side, on Minnesota's side, on Paris Legion's side of the spawn, where they were just causing so many problems. Just spawn killing them, putting them around tools area. It was just really difficult right there for Paris Legion to try to get any map control. But now they need to have a strong response on defense. Because Standy, starting off 9-3, I was talking about it. Him and Classic need to have that head-to-head matchup on the map like this. And so far, Standy is winning it. He's going to open up with the stick, but unfortunately, the trophy is going to be there to save the guy's life.
Yes, indeed, they line up. That's actually going to be 2. Can he find the third onto Aqua toward bottom tank? Does get filled with 18 HP. Aqua does take down his good old SMG duo and Attach, but meanwhile, Standy, all the smarter, trying to make the wraparound plays. But Standy with this far pushed up position, he is the only player alive on the map, and so a 7 spree cannot get over toward the top railing. But I believe he did earn that artillery barrage before fading off into the distance. Again, Standy continuing to make the plays. The SMGs being a problem. Start off this control for Paris as the nade comes in. That's going to be 2 in a row. As one player left to deal with over at that B point. Back and forth we go, but without a doubt, a much different offensive look here from Minnesota. Just a few moments away from capturing that B point, as Standy continues to do work toward the other side of the map, causing problems here over at A.
The only thing is, they weren't able to secure that B point to extend this time by a minute. As I say that, a player is going to be on it, so they should be able to close it out, but Standy's still picking up every single kill from this top plat area. He still does have that artillery to work with, and now he's going to decide to call it in. He's on another 4 spree, trying to work to some more streaks. He's able to take down Scraps, able to take down 3 with the artillery, and Minnesota, on the back of Standy, they come out and win that offensive round so fast, and now they're up 2-0.
We're talking about how often we see streaks at times just not be utilized correctly. Perfect instance of it right there. Standy gets the call from his teammates to say, yep, now's the time to rock it, calls in the artillery, and finds the triple. Impressive plays out of Standy. Really, the entire team, just a great effort out of them. Making offense on Garrison just look simple as they grab a commanding 2-0 lead. I mean, look at the kills. Like 6 for accuracy, 7 for Attach and Priesta, and there's just Standy, just at 20-4. An unreal performance out of him. As like I said, he's still sitting on that 7 spree, so we could see the Crews get back rounds. It has been Standy to start. He's looking to try and play his life, a few nades, so that Crews really the only negative right now for Minnesota, but at what cost?
That's the only way you're able to take the guy down. Throw 3 Semtexes straight into a room, and eventually you will be able to kill Standy. So now that's going to put him at 20-5 on the map so far. With some early progression coming in on towards this B point. It's going to be Paris on it. But accuracy able to get 2. Awkward with the trade. It's going to force Scraps to just try to play his life towards this dark area. Attach is going to be able to win that gunfight onto Aqua through the middle of the map. Going to go for the second challenge onto Scraps, and eventually he's going to get traded. But kills are just going back and forth so far. Paris Legion are trying to fight for some more map control. But it's impossible when Minnesota are just so far pushed up, trading kills left and right.
This is at times like how we see certain teams struggle with like teams like Atlanta FaZe, right? It just looks like there's like 5 or 6 players on the map. They are just flying so far throughout Garrison. Really, players from Paris just struggling to even get a solid gun engagement. Is finally sitting in a 5-team spree that will open up that B control point, maybe, then to secure one. But it is that green presence. As Classic falls, it will be the 4-3 push. Scraps trying to hang on valiantly, cannot escape with the 5 spree. Wiped away over at that B point, and this is where things could start to get problematic. 30 seconds on the clock. If a round is locked here for Paris, this one is done. The nice slide comes through, but again, it's that top green pressure. It's Priesta, P-Dog, laying down the bullets. Causing issues.
Just trying to stay alive.
Trying to stay alive. Paris, moments away from what could be a 3-0 loss here on Garrison.
Not looking good, man. With 10 seconds left, they're going to be trapped in their spawn. Minnesota are picking up every single kill, but Aqua's going to be able to try to take down 2 with them. They have to sprint. They have to sprint straight towards this B point, and just like that, Minnesota RØKKR are going to close out that control in a 3-0 dominant fashion to put themselves up 2-1 in the series.
Oh, my goodness, Duddy. I tell you what, my man, that was just one that you want to forget if you're the Legion. Like, I know we talked about like previously, like a Men in Black type situation where you're, just trying to forget things. You got to forget that map. Standy, well deserved of a fist bump, maybe even a hug potentially after that. Just an unreal performance from him, as it will be Minnesota's first control 3-0 of the season. Love to see it from this team in regards to how they struggled in that first respawn, but I know let's take a look at the stats. What does Standy finish off? 24-10. Pretty good, Study, considering we played 3 rounds.
Yeah, that's really good, man, because he is the route man, and the fact that he was able to pick up a lot of these kills and just put himself in the positionings that he was in, just being aggressive on the map, winning a majority of those gunfights on that 8 point when he was by himself. Not only picked up 1 streak, but was able to pick up 2 sets of streaks, at least 2 different artilleries. Man, the guy just went off. Classic, unfortunately, 7-15. I told you he needed to be there to match Standy on being that route man, but unfortunately Paris Legion, they just couldn't get any map control, man. A lot of kills didn't go in their favor. Minnesota counter, now they're up 2-0.
Well, as we called it,
2-1.
as we called it, man. What, search, destroy, control, just them. Right, not too good for the.
Absolutely what you love to see. Our first 3-0 in control at all this season. Like ever. Maybe not ever. No, yeah, ever, because Domination was played last year.
Yeah.
First 3-0 in control in RØKKR history. Standy went 24-10. Exactly what you said needed to happen did happen. You had Standy and Attach just getting mid-control, and it really was just all Standy in the middle. I mean, Attach only got 18 engagements there. Standy was literally in there. I said to you, like the Exorcist, spinning around, like getting 10-piece or whatever he got. It was insane. So, and Priesta was playing really well. The whole team just played phenomenal in that control. What do you even break down from there, Icon? How do they build on that?
Yeah, it was exactly what we said before it started. And that's the thing with Garrison control, is that it's literally just a battle for the middle of the map. Whereas if you're thinking about like raid control, it can get pretty intricate with what you're trying to do and what you're trying to accomplish and what side of the map you hit and stuff like that. But if you're playing Garrison, you just have to win the gun battles. You just win the 50-yard line, and then you can just start to spawn trap either way after that. And when Standy starts, I think he started 20-4 and he gets streaks. And on that offense, he just popped all 3 of them. And it was a quick 3-0. But now I'm super pumped because I love this map, Apocalypse. It's very different from some of the other hardpoint maps we play. And this is the first time that we've seen Minnesota play it.
Yeah, this is absolutely different from all the other hardpoint maps in the rotation. It's a little smaller, a little scrappier, and I'm really excited. I mean, shoot, if Standy, your entry sub, is playing like he is right now, going into Apocalypse on a smaller map, you do feel good about that. So, hey, let's see if the guys can put it away here. Low-key, definitely not happy that we lost the first hardpoint, but because we did, we now get to see RØKKR make their debut on Apocalypse. It's a map that got added into the rotation last stage. So we'll have to see how they do. Okay, tell me, explain like I'm 5, because I just kind of guessed that sub control, because it's such a small map, is important. But is it sub control or is it flex control, AR? Like, what's the key to winning on Apocalypse?
It's different because it's very one-sided. So like P1 and P2, you have to hold the right side of the map. And then as it rotates to P3 and P4, which are essentially in the middle of the map, but you still want to have left side spawns. And then P5 is also left side. So it's just off the rip, which Minnesota does have good side here. So you want to build up a lead for P1, and then as it goes back over towards Temple for P2, and then after it goes P3, P4, and 5, you're just trying to push out the top left side of the map, trying to flip. And if you're able to do that, then it should be a good result here.
I hope so. I hope the guys can take it. Hopefully they're on fire like my candle. Let's go, boys. Let's take it 3-1, just like we predicted. Please, knock on wood. Although I do love Raid S&D, I would love to just put it away here. Let's see the debut on Apocalypse. We'll toss it to the CDL stream, and IKON and I will be back after the hard point.
SMGs at times can be the players that you look out for. Maybe Standy could be that type of player, but as we revisit that first hard point that we got to witness, it was the Legion that came away with the victory. And like I said, man, it was consistency across the board. 19 was the lowest amount of kills, 23 was the highest. A consistent performance with Scraps grabbing a lot of time in the hill.
Yeah, they just need to come out and do the same exact thing on this map number 4, because that map number 3, teamwork was completely out the window. They let Standy completely run over them from start to finish of that map number 3, and now they find themselves down 2-1 in this series. But they're going up against MiDNiTE, RØKKR, who have yet to play this map on the entire season. So Paris Legion, they're 0-1, so at least they got one rep on it. But you got to be feeling really confident for the Legion, for them to try to force it to this game number 5. But the way that Standy's playing right now, someone needs to answer the call and challenge this guy.
Yeah, I would definitely not prefer to do that. But one thing that I do want to ask you, right? We saw it in our last series. We got to witness Apocalypse Hardpoint. Now we're going to be able to see it again. Paris, they will be spawning on the non-preferred side there over at No Man's Land. But what we've got to witness, granted, not a major sample size so far of Apocalypse Hardpoint, but how do you want to see the team spawning on the non-preferred side at least make things competitive over at P2 on Temple?
Well, it's either two things. It's either you're all going to flood towards Broken and try to flip these spawns right off the rip, or you're going to just try to get as much time as you can off this P1 hardpoint and eventually work towards that pinch or that setup to try to flip these spawns for that P2. And that's exactly what Paris are going to try to do. They're all forcing out towards low trenches. They're going to be able to get some early time on this P1. They're going to force the players from MiDNiTE, RØKKR to just try to play their lives and not force a spawn out. The 2 kills are going to go in favor of Paris. That's going to spawn one player all the way across the map, which is going to be Priesta. And now this is going to set up the pinch for Paris Legion. They're getting time off of this P1 hardpoint, and they're winning their engagements off the rotation. But Attach, able to shut down Temp, is going to slow down this push by just a little bit of time.
Siphoning in from Turtle are the RØKKR, realizing that P2 spawn very well could have been lost. So pretty much back-to-back spawn outs for both of our teams. I don't think Aqua and Co realized that they actually had a nice play going if they just would have ran forward. So Standy will happily take that 2-piece. His first 2 kills of the game come at a major moment where Paris looked like they may have flipped the spawns. Regardless, Standy makes the play, and now MiDNiTE can sit not necessarily comfortably, but in a much better spot as Legion will look to make the play coming in toward the front side. The early nade will set them up nicely. As Standy drops, Aqua as well finds the other. Trophy eliminated as Aqua and Classic continue to cause problems. In from Turtle they go, and Legion once again are able to make some work happen toward this rotation. And in fact, they also are able to break it. They grab the spawns. A great moment there out of the Legion.
And I thought it was going to get a little scary right there because we saw the way that LAG were able to hold this down versus the Ultra. It's basically a full 60 every time they were fully set up. But I love right there what the Legion were able to do. They were able to get 2 kills, then eventually flood out towards the hop-up on Broken. That spawns a couple players out, and we're able to get this remaining 30 seconds. Now it's all about trying to rotate towards that P3, where MiDNiTE is going to be nice and early set up. But with Scraps getting that kill, Scraps getting a second, this could be the opening they need to try to get these guys off of this point.
Be indeed, you see Temp maybe in the midst of going for a flank, instantly Attach, hops outside of the hill. He wants to try to go for the check, but it just continues to be the 74 U's that are problems right now for the Legion. Temp starting things off at 6 and 4. Scraps on the other side says, you know what, 74 U, it does feel pretty nice. It looks in his streak to 2. And really kind of instantly toward top book. It is the Legion in every single fight, just walking away with kills. As the split spawn will come in from MiDNiTE. So we'll see how Paris looks to try to handle this, if not be able to handle this at all. Few players still hanging out toward middle. Priesta gets some questionable hit markers for the player inside a bottom of lights. But with time starting to tick away, Aqua will grab the time. But in that sequence, because of those flip spawn study, it will now be MiDNiTE set up for P4 and possibly set up for P5 as well.
Yeah, they keep giving MiDNiTE, RØKKR a chance to fight back into this game, man. If one person is in the backside of that P5 hardpoint, they're able to block that spawn and eventually spawn all the players from the Legion, from MiDNiTE out towards that back broken area. And it's just That's just another error right there from Paris Legion. So now they have to try to break it. You see Routman and missed attempt, trying to push her on the backside, able to win that engagement. Now it's all about just trying to stay alive towards this back, but with him getting that kill, it's going to spawn one player all the way across the map. It's going to eventually set up this pinch for Minnesota. And here comes Attach to the backside. They're going to be able to get this remaining time and get back into this game. They're also going to keep spawns for that P5. So far, Paris Legion have made 2 mistakes. They have made the mistake towards that P2, where they were able to at least break in and not give up a full 60. And right here, where they spawned Minnesota towards the back of this P5 hardpoint, is not ideal. Paris Legion should have a bigger lead on this map right now, but they don't.
Great call, man. A few mistakes coming through from Legion that can make all the difference. A solid start to this game, but they've allowed for Minnesota to open up that door. With those mistakes now coming into P5, we'll see what the Legion can do. We'll go and listen in with the communication as we go to our Astro listen-in with Paris.
From P5 all on me.
Two from P5. Double in the back door. There, door.
Back door, Priest of weak.
Go on.
Two back door, two back.
Spawn deep. Spawn deep.
Alright,
I'm bringing out a sub for this sub. Let's head low.
alright, one's in hill, one's backside hill.
One's low, heli on me.
Top maps. Hard
Top
on
map.
officer. Martin. Nice.
I don't see the guy low.
We spawn in the back. We spawn maps.
Low, one shot. He was watching it.
No, we don't come in. Trophy in time.
Helmet done.
Just spray me right now.
I'm old, right?
I'm gonna slide.
Yeah.
You're doing the team shoot. Danny weak. Nice. No one right corner. Close right corner.
Right corner, dead.
One more close.
I spawned in the back. They're gonna be on you, Yuli.
He's gonna be on you, Yuli. Yeah, we spawn in the back, bro.
You gotta go big, Yuli.
He's low TV. They don't go in left.
I need comms.
Yeah, one's in the window on the left.
I don't see on maps or tempo. I can kill that guy. Give me time.
Got Lamar.
One was top map.
No, one back maps.
One's top TV.
He's front coop.
Alright, Priest is low. Helicopter.
Front coop, guys.
Reach dead low.
Nice. No one low.
Low me, guys.
Try to help Maddie.
One shot time. He's challenging me.
Low
Kill the guy left.
Low me still. Low.
Time weak. I don't see him low.
Yo, nothing rush me.
I can't shell it.
He's looking helicopter.
One more tempo.
Nice. Lamar was low. On time now.
Alright,
Let's round this P one time.
I'm absolute, guys.
Right, don't say anything.
Wait, you have
Right deal.
Alright.
Blue barrels.
Standing on time. I have no health, guys.
Back map. Back map.
How far hurt?
Can't get time, bro.
Attach back map.
Half wall.
Touch is low.
One shot. Priest really hurt.
Two maps. One time
Touch is low, man. I'm all low. I'm trying to play my eyes.
Calm down.
Nice.
Standing there low.
And he's weak low. He's weak low.
About that listening study, kind of one thing stuck out, right? It was that situation where Aqua's hanging out toward Miller. He says, hey, I need comms. He doesn't see the player. And now that sets up Minnesota for a solid P2 hold. Granite Legion, they are forcing their way through the front toward front temple. But as you said, man, it's kind of been Legion putting themselves in this spot. The reason why they don't have the lead is not because of Minnesota plays, but it's because of the mishaps happening on the Legion end.
Yeah, they definitely they are making major mistakes. Like on the end of that P5, they try to challenge it with about 20 seconds left instead of thinking about that rotation, and that's what causes them. So now they're getting, unfortunately, full 60'd on in this P2 hardpoint. You see a couple players trying to push around the back, but Minnesota, they shut down that push. So now it's going to cause all the players from Paris Legion to try to break through the front. But at this point, with 25 seconds remaining, you need to start focusing on this rotation. You see number 6, nice and early, which is going to be attached, making the heads-up play, which is going to spawn one player in Classic out towards the backside. Eventually, he's able to take down 2, try to get this remaining junk time, able to take down the 3rd as well. So it's not that bad of a situation, but they have still yet to find Attach off the rotation.
All right, my man. Attach still hanging out, still yet to be found. His accuracy graded with a few extra shots coming through from Temp, but it's Aqua from the skies. Toward the backside of TVs, goes for the opening engagement. We'll drop that one to Attach. Scraps is there. Back and forth we go. About a 30 to 40 point game up to this point. Minnesota with the advantage. Is really throughout this hill. It's kind of focusing on P4, P5. Paris spawning on the preferred side for the moment. So in terms of advantages, Minnesota with the lead, but Paris in terms of the long game in the better spot of the two. The standing and accuracy, they combine for 3. Gonna leave Matty Marshall all up by his lonesome, hanging out toward the outskirts as he does get dropped. So with that, Minnesota, they break on in, but it's Classic's turn as he'll look to try and cause some problems. 15 seconds left. Danny wins that, and with that 1v1, it will give Minnesota the time. Off of that rotation, it is a 3v3 team fight over at Turtle.
And this could be scary because that number 4 player in temp is going to spawn all the way out. So right now, Minnesota are doing just such a great job from holding this from the front side, and they're able to flip the spawns as well. Minnesota are playing perfect hardpoint right now. Paris Legion, they're just making way too many mistakes, and this is where the lead is going to grow substantially for Minnesota RØKKR. They just broke that 200-point mark. They can't win off of this, but now Paris Legion have to try to break in because they cannot give up all this time. You see the pinch coming in from Aqua. He's trying to set it up, but unfortunately, he's going to back down. And now it's all about just trying to push through the middle. Matt trying to flood out the front. The last player is going to be here, is going to be Classic, and that's another 4 dead now for Paris Legion.
I mean, like I said, it's just in that moment, like Aqua's just trying to make the play, but just nobody's able to win it from the front. The questionable moments coming through from the Legion, but they are just all guns ablaze, sprinting through light. But right there is going to be Priesta. P-Dog shuts him down in stride. 6 in a row, nearly makes it 7. They know exactly where the Paris players are located, as 10 seconds left before this one is called done. Priesta hanging down, shutting them down left and right. Aqua tries to make his way on the ladder, but it's going to be a no-go as Minnesota roll through our final 3 maps, convincing on the search and destroy, convincing in the control, and convincing in the hardpoint.
Man, that one's going to hurt if you're Paris Legion. You go back and watch that because there were just so many mistakes where you could have opened this game wide open and had the potential to force it to that game number 5. But too many mistakes cost them a lot of points on this hard point. Starts off with that P2 hard point. If they were able to just keep those spawns in the back, if they just push through instead of waiting for Standy to eventually set up on that pinch, they're in a better position. But then that P4 of the very first rotation, once they spawned a couple players from Minnesota towards that backside, they were able to set up a pinch, and it was just great teamwork all around from Minnesota from top to bottom. These guys were on point. They kept capitalizing on all the mistakes from Paris Legion. And like I said, man, Paris Legion, once again, can't really show us anything from what this new roster can really be. That's another 1-3 loss to them. That's going to be 0-3 ever since Temp has been picked up to this team. It's just not looking good for Paris right now.
Yeah, you see the signs, right? Coming through from Temp. Just kind of a frustrating loss for this team is they just continue to try and make changes. They continue to try to change things up, but it's just not working out for them. And I think you called it perfectly, man. Like they had opportunities throughout that hard point. There were different situations throughout Apocalypse. This was a convincing win in terms of the scoreline, but like I said, it wasn't just because of Minnesota making plays. It was Minnesota taking advantage of the opportunity that the Legion gave them. Obviously a positive for one end, but without a doubt a negative for Paris right now, as they are in a slump, to put it lightly. I forget what their exact loss streak is, but it's just overall in stage 3 and kind of prior to that, leading up from stage 2 into the major, things are just not clicking. And it could also be, man, because of the mistakes. We talk about search and destroy and in control. You cannot lose a hard point like that.
Yeah, the search and destroy, I expect to be there. I expect the S&D Wolves to be there because it's still a fairly new team, and they have to develop strategies against these teams who have just been together for a really long time, and you're going up against top competition, just specifically in that game mode, especially with Minnesota RØKKR in that map number 2. But that map number 3, that control, where we saw them on the map number 1. They came out and they were able to equal the slaying department. But then right there in that control, they just couldn't fight for map control. They let Standy completely run over them, and they just couldn't recuperate and just get back together and execute a play to break out of their spawn or anything like that. And then that map number 4 just came down to some mistakes, man. If they just eliminate those mistakes, they put themselves in a better position to close that out and had the potential to close it to a game 5. But once again, Paris Legion, they just let go of that foot on the pedal after that map number 1. And it costs them.
And that foot off the pedal, man, could not be more accurate of a statement. And shout out to our stats team. They just kind of sent that over to me. Shout out to Tyler the GOAT. Says Paris now on a 4-match losing streak. Not too solid. Not too.
Oh my goodness, Icon. It's all positivity and good vibes over here after a 3-1 victory over Paris Legion, but still a little bit of scariness in Hardpoint. We did just win by a large margin, so it feels weird to be a negative Nancy, but there were many instances that you were pointing out, and even me, who's not even a seasoned Apocalypse Hardpoint veteran like yourself, we were making okay plays, unable to hold them though, but then our slaying power just outmatched Paris, and it felt like we were able to still just get the win off of our raw skill. But you know, objectively, what did you notice about RØKKR's first appearance on Apocalypse there?
Yeah, it definitely, I just think like you kind of said, one team just slayed out a little bit more than the other. Normally on Apocalypse, if you have that temple spawn over towards P2, it is super hard to break through. And both times Minnesota had that initial spawn and they actually got broken twice. And then normally it's kind of the same over towards P5 as it eventually gets there. Just hold that top left-hand side of the map and you're usually going to get 40, 50 points over towards P5. And it didn't quite go that way. Both times they did kind of flip spawns a little bit, but down towards the end, when it got to like a 140 to 120 game, somewhere in there, Slaying Power just took over. Minnesota was able to push out P4 on the top side of the map by Turtle. They were able to get a squad wipe, gain those back left spawns, and then they just got a ton of time inside of P4. That got them within like 10 or 20 points of winning. Went back to P5. They slayed out the hill, and they got the victory. So it wasn't what you normally see. It was unconventional, but they still got the win, and they still got another 10 CDL points. And now they're 1-1 in the group, which is probably most important.
Yeah, that's definitely where we want to be, because up next, the future of our group, they did just show it on screen, but we'll be playing Toronto Ultra at 3:30 Central Standard Time on Sunday, May 2nd. It is going to be May. What the heck? It's gonna be, yeah, okay, sorry. We know the meme. Dude, yeah, it's already May. We play Toronto on Sunday, 3:30. We'll be back here for a co-stream, but you gotta feel good about that. You know, that first map kind of, I got flashbacks to stage 2, right? You know, we'd lost to Paris. We lost to Florida right away in that stage, and that didn't feel good and put us in a really tough spot. We did end up eking it out and coming out first in the group, but holy, what a journey to get there. You don't always want to be in those situations where you've got your back against the wall and you've got to fight your way through it. So really big win today to go 1-1. What else can we say about the Paris match here? Do you think RØKKR is back? Do you think that first map was just whatever, that wasn't our, well, no, it was our pick. the checkmate hardpoint was indeed our pick. So yeah, that's still looking a little rough. We'll hopefully see them fix that up before Sunday. But yeah, what's your biggest takeaway, I guess, from the match today?
Yeah, I think Minnesota was definitely the more dominant team after map 1. Map 1, that checkmate hardpoint is really tough if you spawn on bad side. Even though they were able to flip, it was just an odd map.
They did catch up, but yeah,
I mean, they kind of had time in P1. They were able to flip for P2, and then that's where they got trapped. But that's why a lot of teams don't like checkmate. That's why a lot of times, like in Control, checkmate is an insta veto, because if you're on offense and you get spawn trapped, it's impossible to get back to mid map. So that map 1 is, I don't know, there aren't too many teams that are really good on checkmate, and there's probably a reason for that. But after that, the S&D Miami was not close. The Control on Garrison was like the quickest map that we've seen all year. It was just an absolute blowout. And then it got to Apocalypse, and it wasn't pretty, but the last 2 hills or so, Minnesota Slaying Power really took over. So overall, I think it's a good day. I think that there are probably things that they'll go back and watch. They'll watch that map 1, just try to touch up on where they were able to lose spawns, especially over towards P4. Actually, that might be the biggest glaring issue that I saw, is Minnesota, as they were trying to come back, they did have control of P4, top side of checkmate. And then with like 5 or 10 seconds left, they kind of eagle chowed over towards P4. And when you die there and the clock runs out, as soon as P5's pops, if Paris pushes through, they're going to spawn you all the way over out towards P2. So maybe not the best idea to try to challenge that, because if you lose, you're going to spawn on the complete opposite side of the map, and then there goes your comeback attempt. But overall, I mean, just a couple mistakes maybe here or there, but they did what they had to do. They earned their 10 points. They got back to 1-1 for the group, and things are looking up again.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was really key. I mean, I know we said that Paris is not a good search and destroy team. They have actually not won search and destroy or control since Temp has joined the lineup. So Paris is struggling, right? We can't take this and be like, yes, RØKKR stock to the moon, even though I'm always going to say that. But hey, you know, we got our first rep on Apocalypse today. It wasn't pretty, but we did it. I think you can learn from those types of moments. And the hard point, the first map you said, you know, definitely some learning, teachable moments there. And then, yeah, just trying to keep the momentum and build on what we'd kind of learned today for the Sunday match versus Toronto. But we're going to watch the post-game interview with Priesta. Let's see what he has to say. We'll be back after that.
The Call of Duty League is presented by T-Mobile, now America's largest and fastest 5G network. Set your sights on the competition with T-Mobile, the leader in 5G. The Call of Duty League is presented by Zenni, the official eyewear for the CDL. Armor your eyes with Zenni Blocks blue light protection glasses by visiting zenni.com/gaming. RØKKR certainly come to play.
They can't stop it. They can't stop the kids. They can't stop it.
Oh, Priester, disgusting. Accuracy's there, nice kill. Bang! 200 IQ, 10 out of 10 play. Oh my word! Attach is going to save the day. RØKKR, our kings of the north.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to your Game Fuel Victory Spotlight. I'm Lando, and joining me is Priesta of the Minnesota RØKKR. Well, buddy, you guys get a solid win today here versus what is a struggling Paris Legion team, but I know that you guys were coming off the loss versus Florida. A lot of talk on this team, just talking about how you guys could kind of come into this matchup, again, versus Paris. But I want to ask you, kind of coming in from that loss versus Florida, what did you guys really want to work on coming into today?
Yeah, I mean, coming off a loss definitely sucks. So we wanted to rebound and get this win was huge for us. I mean, just like clean up our S&D, and we've been really focused on respawns, but our S&D's kind of been off a little bit lately. So we were really focusing on just balancing everything, to be honest.
Well, you guys made the plays in the search and destroy, no doubt. I know that accuracy kind of play in particular kind of stands out as one. But you guys get the 6-2 win here on Miami. But I know one kind of talk, at least amongst the kind of the CDL community, if you want to call it that, has kind of been the hard point, your ability kind of been hard point. You guys dropped the first, but you take a nice commanding closeout there on the Apocalypse. How great does it feel to not just walk away with the series, but specifically to at least close things out with a solid hard point win on Apocalypse?
Yeah, I mean, they came out hot in Checkmate. We still got a lot to work on that map specifically, but we're gonna go back, watch it, and try to clean things up. And I mean, APOC was that was our first time playing that map, and we've been playing it really well in scrims. So to get that win in the actual match feels good. So we have another map we can add into our rotation now. So it feels good, and we're just gonna keep on improving on every map.
Definitely, man. Well, the improvements at least showed from series to series, and it's going to kind of need to continue to be that way, considering your guys' next matchup is going to be against the Toronto Ultra. I know I had a quick little chat earlier with Kleenex. The team's feeling good, and obviously it is kind of a nice little rivalry. We talked about the Battle of the North. How do you guys feel about that series, and what's the preparation look like leading up into that game versus Toronto?
Yeah, I think it's just for us to prepare. We're just going to focus on our own game, especially these S&D. Just make sure we're making our own plays that we want to make and not worrying about what the other team's doing so much. And I'm just excited to get a rematch against them again. But they're a good team, so we got to come out hot.
Absolutely, my man. Absolutely. Well, hey, congrats again to you and the team on the win, and best of luck heading into that match versus Toronto.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, folks, that is going to be a wrap-up for day number 2 here at the Paris home series. It was filled with a number of different amazing
1-1 in the group now officially. Going to be going for 2-1 on Sunday versus Toronto Ultra, the Squirrels of the North. Although I don't know if you guys know this, but how geography works. So Toronto is actually technically more south than Minneapolis, Minnesota, which is pretty crazy. And even Eagan, Minnesota, where RØKKR is based. Kind of just fun fact for you, battle for the North. I will say I'm a little salty, okay? Toronto Ultra, they're a great team. They have won 2 championships. Good for them. And now I think I'd have to look at the total series score from last year to this year, Battle for the North, but I feel like it's got to be pretty even. And Toronto, I mean, is it safe to say they're the hottest team in the CDL right now? That's going to be a tough matchup and one that we're all looking forward to on Sunday. Icon, what's the key to beating Toronto? Are they beatable right now? How do we come into that match and come correct?
Yeah, they're beatable. I've kind of talked about this before. Kind of depends on how Bance is playing, because Kleenex always brings it very similar to what Standy does. The rest of their squad has been playing super well. Insight has been playing like the league MVP since he got called up. So they're just a squad that's absolutely on fire. you look at their last matches, they 3-0'd LA Thieves, 3-1 against Minnesota, 3-1 Dallas, 5-3 against Atlanta to win that major. And then since this stage has started, 3-0 Florida, 3-0 Dallas, 3-0 LAG. I mean, they're absolutely on fire, and there's only really been one map that's been close. In the earlier match today, it was 250 to 247. That map won against LAG. But after that, I don't know. They're playing super well. They're on fire. Of course, they're beatable. Everybody's beatable. We just saw in back-to-back games, New York beat Atlanta and then lose to London. So that's just the stuff. That's the stuff that happens in this league. So anything can happen. I do think the last time that these two teams played, I thought that it was a lot closer than a 3-1 score may end up telling. And I thought back then, whoever would have won that matchup would have beaten Dallas and gotten to the final. So I think Minnesota's right there. You just got to come out and make the plays, make play after play. Don't have a couple of like the minor mistakes that we talked about earlier, and they'll be good to go.
Any given Sunday in the CDL, it'll be really cool to see what happens. But yeah, you mentioned, they had a really close map versus LAG earlier today, the hard points, and then they actually were down in the search pretty bad on Express, but ended up coming back to win that round 11. So Toronto just has the clutch factor. Their search and destroy is insane. Love to hope that RØKKR's Search and Destroy, we can have a much better showing on Sunday than we did the last time we played them, because I think that's going to be key to us getting a victory there. Our hardpoint, even though we did just win that Apocalypse, it's still not looking how we want it and need it to look if we're going to consistently beat the best teams. But other than that, hey, Search and Destroy looks like it could be an improving, and Control looking pretty dang good on that. So I'm really excited for the match on Sunday. You never freaking know. All teams that are hot eventually become not. Okay, sorry. I'm so sorry, but we'll see what happens. We will be back at 3:30 Central Time on Sunday for the Toronto Alter match. Make sure to subscribe to the YouTube, all that cool stuff. If you guys want to check out something cool, we actually uploaded our docuseries episode Saga earlier this week. It's a docuseries that follows the team and their journey through the CDL, and we cover stage 2 in that. So Standy's debut, the insane play versus Optic. It's absolutely nutty. So I will link that down in the chat. Enjoy that if you want to check that out. Otherwise, if you're just sticking around, CDL stream is over, baby. Go watch Saga. Come on, do yourself a favor. It's a great episode. It's my favorite episode we've uploaded since last season. But anyway, that's going to do it for Icon and Icon. Thank you so much for joining me. As always, We'll see you Sunday. And holy cow, prepare yourselves. Battle for the North. Let's go. We'll see you guys Sunday, 3:30 Central. Talk then.